Good evening, everyone. I'll call the meeting to order. It's with great respect and humility. We acknowledge and honor the land of the Snuneymuxw people. The Snuneymuxw people maintain their profound, unique, and spiritual connection to the land through ageless traditions, teachings, stewardship, and expressions of reciprocity. I'd like to take a moment to formally welcome our new superintendent, Robin Gray, who has come to us via Cowichan Valley School District for the last 5.5 years as their superintendent. She's actually returning home because before that she worked for our district for about 24 years. So just like to maybe round of applause to welcome Robin to the team. Welcome. So we'll move on to the agenda. There are no transfer of items to open meeting this evening. There are no additions. Sorry, are there any additions or changes in order? Seeing none, can I get a motion to approve the agenda? Moved by Naomi, seconded by Tom. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Moving on to the approval of the minutes, the suggested motion reads that the minutes from the regular Board of Education meeting held on October 23rd, 2024 be adopted. Someone like to move that? Moved by Tim, seconded by Chantel. Any discussion? Seeing discussion, call the question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Moving on to the section 72-3 report. It's a suggested motion that reads that the section 72-3 report from the closed Board of Education meeting on October 23rd, 2024, and the special closed board meetings on October 30th, 2024, and November 5th, 2024 be received. I'd like to move that. Moved by Leanna, seconded by Tom. Any discussion? Discussion. Okay, call the question. All in favor? Carried. So we do have some announcements and reminders. Education Committee meeting scheduled for December 4th, 2024. It's followed by the Business Committee meeting December 11th, 2024. The Board of Education meeting, the last one of the year, December 18th, 2024. And schools will be closed for winter break, December 21st to January 5th, 2024. Moving on to what everyone's waiting for this evening, our presentation section of our agenda. With the Zonta Club. Welcome, Andrea. You have 10 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Andrea Paris. I bring greetings on behalf of Zonta Club of Nanaimo. And today I have two other guests with me, Claudia Fletcher and Jeffrey Eng. Quick introductions. Claudia was the first student of our program 4 years ago, and Jeffrey was in the 3rd year. And then they both returned to the program. So the reason you see us here tonight is because we are ever so grateful for your support. And we felt that once a year, we'll come and invite you to the next event and we'll talk about the successes we have achieved with your help. I'm sure you have read the few pages we have, but I wanted to point out the first page. Picture you can see at Cedar High School. You can see the number of pizza boxes we have used up for the lunches. We try to preserve the students' privacy. That's why you don't see any pictures of the students, but you see the pizza boxes too, just to show you how much we have worked. And the pictures speak 1,000 words. So I quickly just want to show you the next picture about how we were speaking, how did the events go, where did we go and what did we do? We went to UBCM. We have talked to Premier Edie in person with what his school district 68 is doing. He was fantastically excited that he gave me 3 minutes of his time and he encouraged us to work with his staff to take the same program across Vancouver Island. Huge success for us. Again, it wouldn't be without your support. So once again, if you don't know what we do, we are doing educational, informational awareness sessions around the Human Trafficking National Day, which is February 22nd. This year, we are excited to let you know that you're actually invited to 2 events. One on February 20th, which is confirmed at the Cedar Secondary High School. I'm looking forward to see you there. And on February 22nd, Saturday, where we are actually looking forward to see you as a representative from School District 68 and from many other groups. We will have a working group session. The first part of the event will be educational for adults, and we'll have a nutritional break, and then we'll break into a brainstorming session where we are going to be moving forward Nanaimo on this issue. We have learned that the city of Nanaimo has nothing in place to help us to bring awareness to high school students. Thanks to the VIU program that we are able to do practicum. So therefore the practicum students can help us to educate your students, and we give our effort for free and making a tremendous amount of impact. We have now impacted over 1,000 students in the School District 68. What we need from you at this time is to continuously support us. It costs you just enough for the school busing to get the students there. We would love to have more of your support from the schools. We have not had all the schools attending last year. So if you could help us somehow to spread the message to the principals, that would be great. Also, we have now high school students, 2 high school students from one for Cedar, yes, Malia is from Cedar, and then Wellington High, who are actually part of the student council. And they had a huge success having a conversation on their district level, how student councils can help and spread the word. So if you still don't know what we are doing, we're strictly bringing awareness about how to be smart on your smartphone, respect to human trafficking and alluring. We know that we need to attract a lower age, but our program is not there. So we are hoping to first get to all the high schools and see a study program, which we have. We have grown each year. We have great speakers, and perfect. Move the pictures on. We can go back to the high school part. So if you haven't had a chance to read it, read this little summary. We are doing quite well. And I don't want to take up all the 10 minutes, but if you have any questions, I would rather answer them and then see how we can. Oh, and most certainly, congratulations and welcome back, Robin Gray. I'm so excited to see you in this position, and it's going to be fantastic. Yes, I'm opening the floor if you have any questions.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Really?
Can you repeat what date that was at Cedar in February?
February the 20th, Thursday. We have learned that high school only functions the best on Thursday. Friday, they skip school. The Monday to Friday, the teachers are really busy to carry the curriculum. So we have learned that it's always going to be the Thursday before February the 22nd. Some years it's going to fall on the National Day of Awareness, but some days it will not.
Yeah, I just wanted to say also thank you very much.
You're very welcome. It is a phenomenal program with such a minimal cost, with having the most amount of impact I've ever seen in my whole entire life as being an adult. Sorry. Next.
There, any questions? Chantel?
I was very fortunate and privileged to be able to go to your session at Cedar. I kind of missed part of the day, but I got to the end with instructor Michael Down from BNU. I'm wondering, is it going to be sort of the same format? It's sort of the same idea for next year, or is there going to be a little bit of a change up? Or
there isn't any change up. What I can tell you, it's always going to be within the school hours. I am just talking to the principal at Cedar to see what's the latest I can push it out to. The Q&A and the awareness and the just pulling together and working was so fascinating that there is a need for it. We know that some of our students have been impacted. Some of them did come and tell us their stories. We also know from the news about the vulnerable children. So we felt all day long focusing on students. So the delivery message is going to be based on high school level. And for Saturday, we are redoing the messaging for adults. And then we're really looking forward to have that brainstorming session, how Nanaimo is going to tackle this huge issue with service clubs, WIHA, City of Nanaimo, Ladysmith Council is coming. So we have been talking to so many people to get everybody ready in Nanaimo for February 22nd, just to see what we can do. All right. Yeah.
All right, well, I don't see any other questions, so thank you again for your presentation.
Thank you. And I'm not sure if you had a chance to have the book, if anybody would like a book. We work with Kathy Peters, and she was my mentor who is really instrumental in our movement forward. She was a teacher for 40 plus years, and she already got an award from British Columbia for doing her volunteer work. If no other questions, I'm looking forward to see you either on the 20th, popping in and out. It's all day long. And definitely, I would like to have somebody on the 22nd to come for our brainstorming sessions, how we move forward. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening. We are not going to be rude, but we're going to scroll out because the meetings could get long. And thank you again.
That's it.
Thank you, Dr.
It's you kind
I haven't had a committee yet this year, so. Just wanted to thank you.
So there is no correspondence this evening. So move on to committee reports with the business committee. Yeah.
That the Board of Education of School District Number 68 in Nanaimo Lady Smith approved the recommended minor catchment boundary changes as shown in the Business Committee Action Sheet dated November 13th, 2020.
Okay, do you have a seconder? Deanna? Okay, you want to get the motion?
I just would like to once again thank staff for being their responsiveness to the comments to minor changes that logistically make sense for families in the areas affected.
Anybody else like to speak? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried, thank you. There's one more.
That the Board of Education of School District Number 68 and Lady Smith amend the policy committee work plan to include the review and update of policy 2.1 role of.
You have a seconder? Mark? Would you like to motivate the motion?
No, Greg, if you'd like to, I'm more than happy to pass it to you.
Okay, yeah. Appreciate that. So, this particular, policy just came about as in response to some work that the board, was doing. And anytime we want to amend, or add work to a committee's work plan, the appropriate means that we've been doing that through this by way of motion to amend the work plan. So that's what we're seeing here this evening. Thanks. Then. Any other discussion? Call the question, all in favor? Okay, thank you. Okay, so we don't have any education committee meeting report this evening, so we'll move on to senior staff reports under item 13.1, Safe Schools Committee Work Plan. Mark.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm just bringing this on behalf of the committee because each of our advisory committees requires the board to approve its work plan for the year. So you'll see that on page 20 to 23. And perhaps you can indulge me to see if we had any additional comments prior to the board's consideration.
No, not really. I think it's explanatory. Chantal, do you have anything to add or? Okay.
Okay, so there's a suggested motion, or actually any questions before we get to the motion? And I believe we're still sharing the presentation if we, not sure if we're going to do that. It's on the screen, okay, maybe it's just. Is there any other discussion?
The motion.
Okay, motion.
That the Board of Education of School District Number 68 Nanaimo Lady Smith approved the Safe Schools Committee Work Plan for 2024-2025.
Okay, thank you, Naomi. Is there something? Tim, would you like to motivate the motion now?
Yeah, we did a lot of thinking and we've come up with two important questions and our, plan is to sort of source out what people feel, vice principals, student voice is a huge one. So using sort of street data, so to speak, talking to our various stakeholders to find out, what the issues are in terms of school safety and, what are the resource gaps. So hopefully we'll be able to get some work done this year.
Thank you, Naomi. I just want to say thanks to the committee and staff for helping to put together a work plan for this committee. I know it's been a long time coming, so I appreciate seeing that today. Any other discussion? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? Okay, so we do have a bylaw next under 13.2 of the Tuxton Covenant, I should say. Mark.
Thank you, Chair. So at page 24 of the agenda is a memo that's outlining the issue before you this evening. Related to the Tate Tuxton project, where we currently on Howard Ave have a small facility, a gym that's being used by ND. And so you'll recall, this has been going on for quite some time. So this is a partnership between BC Housing, the city of Nanaimo, Nanaimo First Nation, as well as ourselves, to redevelop that site. Now, originally, all of the uses were supposed to be mixed in amongst the 3 lots that currently exist there. But due to the nature of our crown reverter, we weren't really able to have that mixed use spread throughout the project. But the piece that we continue to be involved in is that our lot, and if you go to page, you go to page 30 of 60, 505 on Howard and Harewood there, the little triangle piece, that's our lot. Our lot is being used in the overall rezoning process and actually helping density for the overall project. So from a purely enrollment perspective, this is pretty good news for us and for Georgia. It might mean that if enough families move in, we might have to do some boundaries at some point. But so there is going to be a benefit from us in that regard, in addition to being good partners. But we're also having our particular parcel ready for redevelopment if we ever need. So that's what part of this is. And so originally we thought, okay, maybe an alt school could go there, some other alternative form. We do not have the financial ability to do that. And the ministry, given our variety of needs, is highly, highly unlikely to be supporting us building an alt school on the site for many, many years. However, given we're part of the development, what the city has required of us is essentially to guarantee that to covenant that we're going to do our best to give them a highway dedication as required as if we were developing it. So tonight's motion or bylaw is not actually disposing of the land, it's making a commitment to a future disposal of the land in the event that we develop it. And so we had a bit of a debate whether we need a bylaw for a future commitment of disposal, but we're playing it safe because it is still involving an interest in the district's land. And so essentially, when you're looking at that little triangle lot, what this means is that the section along Harewood, we would be giving up a slice of that in any future development to the city, as any development would be required to meet the current requirements for setbacks, highway, etc. So it does certainly allow us some great future uses if it ever needs. But the other thing for us is we've been committed partners to this, and if we don't proceed, then the whole project theoretically could be at risk in that regard. And so we're here, we're very happy. Unfortunately, when you do look at the drawings that you see on pages 26 and onwards, none of them are going to be any of our facilities, sadly, but it's a great project. There's going to be lots of affordable housing. Nanaimo is going to have ownership of some of this, as I understand it. And so this is one of the last steps until the city reviews in its last process. So happy to answer questions. Again, we don't have a heck of a lot to do in the short term, but this is a requirement for it to proceed.
Thanks, Mark. Okay, so I don't know who was first. I'll go Tom and Tanya.
That was Tanya first.
Okay.
Thank you, Tom. I'm going to support this, and I will happily read one of the motions. My question is going back to the idea of us having school there. Is it the idea at one time was that there would be housing, and then a second, like that it would the school would be part of the building, like on one level would be the school, and then above it would be housing, or maybe the other way around. I don't remember. But is that completely dead, and would that help with the cost?
Through you, Chair. It's not precluded, so we would not be prevented from doing that particular project, but I would suggest that it's dead for the immediate future, because it wouldn't, the housing, if we were to be the beneficial owners, there's very specific restrictions in the School Act, which we wouldn't be able to kind of charge extra in order to build the school.
Gotcha.
Had we been able to get rid of the ground reverter, which I believe was the initial intent many, many years ago, then yes, we would have been able to sell or trade part of that land for essentially construction. But because that reverter is still there and that wasn't able to be dealt with throughout this process, we wouldn't be able to dispose of any of that parcel to contribute to the schools.
Thank you. That was the piece of information I had forgotten. It was around the crown reverter. Thank you.
Tom?
Thank you, Chair. Just for my information, Mark, how many units are they anticipating of housing?
I believe it's approaching 400. Do I have it in there?
And that's a good enough estimation for my purposes. Thank you, Mark. Not to put you any,
Yeah.
I don't want to put you
Yeah,
through.
nearly 400.
What I do know is that for the George Avenue community, that the previous building, King Arthur's Court, was a huge part of their community. You know, and a large number of their students came from there. I'm hoping that the district, and I'm sure they are, this could be a huge opportunity for Georgia, but it could almost blow them out of the water. Like, that's a lot of people if they're going to be targeting families and kids and coming in there. So really close by. So it's gonna, you know, I don't know when you talk. So I'm trying to think about the catchment shift that you theorized around that might to occur. Getting way ahead of myself, granted that, but how are we going to accommodate all those kids in that neighborhood with nothing nearby that's open?
So your future. So there'll be a couple of options just off the top. Is Park Avenue theoretically could kind of encroach further into Georgia
As that
as
says
an example.
Yeah.
And so, of course, these kids would end up feeding in Georgia. If a bunch of density happens, then we might have to look at an alternative option at some point, but we are talking a number of years. So, you know, the idea that we could have a high density school, and anyone that's been to Vancouver, if you've gone to the next game or a concert, right across the street is a school attached to a condo building that's 3 stories or 4 stories tall, and they don't have a land. The fact that we have this that so close, given the huge deal that SFN has just got acquiring the land that was the old hospital, if they ever develop that, and they're going to develop it, but if that gets developed in a significant way as well, then perhaps we actually need to be looking at additional school facilities. But we are talking a decade at a minimum before that pressure is going to hit us that hard.
But my last comment would be, it's a very exciting project, and no matter, I'm really happy to see the district persevering in spite of whatever code restrictions we're encountering, to see the greater benefit for the neighborhood. I think it's a fantastic partnership. Thank you.
The one last warning though, is when this gets built and you see that beautiful shiny building that they're proposing, and then they're gonna go, hey, look at the district building. It's going to be the one that's currently there, just got painted.
Like storage for stuff.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah.
Further to what Tom was saying, I support this just in the sense that I'm hoping this last piece moves them along at a speedier rate than has currently happened, because this community definitely needs the housing to return to it. So I'm hoping that there is some movement from the city and from BC Housing to expedite this process moving forward. Thank you.
Thanks. Tim?
Just a quick point. I know that Sanamo just announced that they are in the process of building a ton of complexes throughout the city and on their lands and all this kind of stuff. So location of that might be worth looking into. I don't know if they've come out with hard times yet, but if I see any of it, I'll definitely pass it on. But I mean, they just announced that, but Well, they just, that's happens, at the word, I think it's Gatochten. So the UXW is a, it's not right, so if they're talking to somebody, sometimes it's good to have the language down sometimes, depending on who you're talking to out there, because sometimes they do care.
Thank you.
Pronounce.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else? So there's one procedural piece related to this bylaw, and then if somebody would like to read a first reading, we can go from there. By show of hands, I'd like to confirm that all trustees are in possession of the digital or written copy of the covenant bylaw number 2024-25-1. Also like to inform the public that the written bylaw is included in this evening's public agenda on page 31, which is available online. There's also printed copies available in the boardroom. So we have some readings to do here. Is somebody like to read? Oh, the first motion, sorry, I missed that. Thanks, Mark. So the first motion, because we're being asked to do all three readings in one meeting, we need a motion to that effect. So would somebody like to move the first motion? Mark?
Sure. That the Board of Education of School District number 68 and I'm Ladysmith give all three readings to the covenant bylaw number 2024-2025-1 for a covenant bylaw of the district lands at 505 Howard Avenue, Nanaimo, British Columbia, to the benefit of the city of Nanaimo that commits to the future disposal of a small parcel of land to support the redevelopment of the Tetuxton project at this regular board meeting on November 27th, 2024.
Mark? Yeah. Mark, would you like to motivate the motion?
No, I think it's redundant. I think Mark went over it succinctly.
Thank you. Any discussion? For trustees, this requires unanimous vote. So call a question. All those in favor? We do have, I was approved, thank you. So we'll move on then to first reading. Would somebody like to read first reading? Tom?
That the Board of Education of School District number 68 Nanaimo Ladysmith adopt the covenant bylaw 2024-2025-1 on the district lands at 505 Howard Avenue, Nanaimo, BC, to the benefit of the city of Nanaimo that commits to the future disposal of a small parcel of land to support the redevelopment of the Tetuxton project.
Keep reading, please. Read the first time.
Oh, sorry, I must be reading the wrong thing. That's not in my.
It was read the first time was 27th day of November 2024.
Yeah, what you said. I don't have that on my thing.
So it's
Oh, I'm reading the wrong part. Read the first time the 27th day of November 2024.
Thank you. We have silence on one page. Second by Naomi. Would you like to motivate?
No, I think we're doing the right thing and staff's done a great job. Thank you, staff.
Thank you. Any discussion? Don't see any discussion, so we'll call a question. All in favor? Carried. Okay, there's first reading. Would someone like to read second reading?
Thank you. That the Board of Education of School District number 68 in Nanaimo Ladysmith adopt the covenant bylaw 2024-25-1 on the district's lands at 505 Howard Avenue, Nanaimo, BC, to the benefit of the city of Nanaimo that commits to the future disposal of a small parcel of land to support the redevelopment of the Tetuxton, I still can't get over. Tetuxton project. Read a second time this 27th day of November 2024.
Thank you, Tanya. Seconder. Deanna, would you like to motivate Tanya?
No, as Tom said, it's
Okay, excellent.
Lanford.
Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Third and adoption, would like to read that. Fail.
That the Board of Education of School District number 68 Nanaimo Ladysmith adopt the covenant bylaw 2024-25-1 on the district lands at 505 Howard Avenue, Nanaimo, BC, to the benefit of the city of Nanaimo that commits to the future disposal of a small parcel of land to support the redevelopment of the Taytuxton project. Read a third time and adopted this 27th day of November, 2024.
Deanna? Like to motivate?
It's been motivated.
Any discussion? Second that one. All in favor? Okay. Okay, thanks everyone. So we got through that one. Move on to 13.3. Robin, the surplus reallocation, sports schools.
Very good. On page 33, you will find an action sheet. And just a little bit of background on this. On September the 25th, the Board of Education approved the allocation of surplus dollars from the 2023-2024 school year. That action sheet is attached to this action sheet. This action sheet is intended to seek approval to the board to reallocate a number of these expenditures to meet more immediate school-based needs. So in conversation with the interim superintendent, along with a meeting with principals and vice principals, it became quite clear to the staff that there was a need for more resources to go be allocated directly to schools. And so before I present the 10 particular areas with regard to this, the board should be aware of 3 important facts when considering these reallocations. That the funds are one-time in nature, that given the time of the expenditures, they not reflect the prorated costs of the sports rather than their full yearly cost. And that thirdly, the numbers below are approximate, okay, in terms of the monies. And so you'll see there are 10 areas. One is increased noon hour supervision to the tune of $100,000, and that is to support additional supervisors, to provide breaks for EAs, but also to provide opportunities for them to supervise individual students, and even look at some other noon hour supervisors to come in. So that's one. Number 2 is increased inclusion support teacher time for $150,000. And so this would be supporting the increased complexity and volume of students with disabilities and diverse abilities. Number 3, additional ELL support at secondary schools for $25,000, which is mainly in focus at Wellington Secondary School. An additional child youth family support worker support, $50,000. And this would be an additional CYSW to NDSS, who are currently running at 1.6 FTE for a variety of circumstances. Number 5, additional counseling support for $150,000. This would add an additional person, 1.0, to support targeted schools with social, emotional, and mental health needs that have been identified. 6, looking at an internal EA certification program for $50,000. And so these funds will support the creation of an internal program. Currently, our bill rate for EAs is having a significant operational and health and wellness impacts in our schools. So this would be something that we can put together in order to actually create the opportunity for more EAs. Number 7, youth resilience for $20,000. This funding is intended to bridge a position funded by a special purpose fund that expires in March. And then number 8, equity support for $30,000. These funds are intended to support focus schools to provide their students the same opportunities as other schools. So for an example, transportation around field trips. Number 9, EA attendance at meetings, $110,000. And this would allow some of our EAs to go to IEP meetings that their voice would need to be heard. And then number 10, release time for schools for $30,000. And that currently schools receive some funds to provide release time for enrolling teachers to attend IEP and class review meetings. So there would be additional funds for that. So that is a lot for the board to consider. But I think through the process that the principals and vice principals went through in terms of brainstorming those needs, we were able to actually look at this list. I do recognize that it's the total funds of $670,000 and that it is a reallocation from your previous action and recommendation. But I think it's very exciting times because we have been hearing and through different partner groups as well, that we need to put some resources at the school site. So there is an action for the board to consider, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
I'll just start off by saying thank you, Robin, and just how fortunate we are to be in a position of having a surplus to be able to invest back into the system. And it's nice to see recommendations that will help put more supports in the classroom. I think the board will appreciate that. And so I'm very supportive of these changes. I'll start with this. Tell me.
Yeah, just one clarification, Robin. I think you read out the support for the counselor. Additional counseling, I think you said 150,000. So just to clarify, it's 105.
Thank you.
Thousand. Yeah, no, I echo what Greg says. I'm very excited about this. I realize it's a one-shot deal, but hopefully this will start the beginning of some great ideas and more supports in our schools. It's something that, you know, as a trustee, I've been hearing over and over again, and trying to figure out a way to get more EAs into the system. It's not even just a matter of like the EAs don't have enough hours. We are trying to get EAs. We need to get more EAs, and we've got to become creative and think outside the box. So I'm really excited about that, as well as just the other additional, the youth resilience is a great idea as well. The EA certification program is one that's really excited me. EA attendance at meetings. As a former teacher, I always thought it was a shame that our EAs actually couldn't even attend staff meetings. So to help build that sense of team and community, and so they're more informed about things, as well as having run IEP meetings and been a part of IEP meetings, it would be always lovely to have the person who's the most connected to those students to be in that room, to be able to provide their input and knowledge and expertise. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Naomi. Heather?
Thank you, Chair, through the chair. Wow, I gotta tell you, yesterday I did a school visit, and whenever I do my school visits, I check in with the principal, and then I go and spend some time in staff room, talk to teachers, and just see how everybody's doing. And the teachers on that particular staff had looked at this agenda and seen it and saw this list, and they were incredibly excited and grateful, and the EAs, of course, too. This is exactly what we've been needing, and this is really a great step in the right direction. I hope that we can figure out from a budget perspective how to maintain at least some of these supports. I think they're excellent. I did have a question around and I totally think it's a great idea. I just am curious how it would work in terms of the internal EA certification program. Would that be like if I'm picking on somebody, if Leanna wanted to go and become an EA, she would have to go to VIU and she would pay course fees. Would these individuals be paying for this, or would we be paying them to take this program? And how does that piece going to work?
Through the chair, great question. I think we are looking at the opportunity for maybe various roles in the system to actually be on the job training, and then maybe on a Friday we do the coursework so that they could actually be working, apply what they're learning, maybe on the day of the written work or the learning work, and then be able to apply it. So we really want to hire people to come into our system and actually be a participant in the work and then in the learning at the same time.
Thank you. Okay, and this is just a future thought or something we can all as a group discuss later. One of the things that came up, because this is what I was asked about, was this particular item, is that some of the newer EAs who have gone through training and talked about the cost of getting that training, they brought the question of, I'm already working 2 jobs and I got student debt loan. What would really help me is if somebody would do some advocacy that I could get some of my loan forgiven for the work that I'm doing. And I see this as an area where I would love to see us as a board, maybe and maybe through BCSCA, doing some advocacy work, because student loans are just as hard on people doing these 10 months and 1 year programs as they are on others as well. So it's an area where we've sort of not done that advocacy, and I think it would help us in not so much in the recruitment piece, but the retention piece.
Thank you, Tanya. And my apologies, Tim, I skipped over you and went to Tanya, so.
You first. I think these are just awesome areas, like, and you know, if you're adding additional funds or whatever funding additional, that's great. I think it takes a little bit of pressure off, feels like, and adds a little bit of relief to the schools that are feeling these areas that are tough. One thing I think about is the things that are measured, like measuring how this funding has helped, and that way we can strive for the future to how we can continue to continue certain things that this has sort of kept going or started, you know what I mean? It's like around that equity support or youth resilience, these kind of different things are obviously important. So just like, how do we measure it in regards to how this funding has supported, you know, and that way we could, again, just continue things moving forward. Yeah. Important comment.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was a
Yeah,
question.
it's more of a comment, yeah.
I think that's a good point. It's nice to see the investment. And then when it comes to next year, how do we know that it was successful?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd really just like to acknowledge the work of our staff on hearing not only us, but everyone in our system, that we're struggling, they're struggling, and I really appreciate the pivot that's able to happen, because we are in a great position with surplus. But more importantly, it's just the pivot of listening to what is needed in order to alleviate some pressures and to acknowledge that we do hear what our staff are saying and we do value their input. And I think that this is a very positive first step into looking at that goal of student and staff wellness. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, through you to the superintendent, I can only imagine the sigh of relief that came from the PVPs on getting some of this news. We heard very clearly in our staff engagement survey that there was a real sense of a disconnect between our frontline and our district office. And another thing I've been hearing is, you know, they keep asking more of us, like the unfunded mandate, right, that we all fear, and this is moving in the opposite direction. And I really love the elements of autonomy that you're giving to schools in this in order to make decisions and to know where they need to help their students, because I think they know best. And so I guess that's the comment. And I'm going to try to turn this one into a question. On the EA support, one of the things that I'm trying to envision this is a way that we can create a more equitable access to people who want to have a career in education. For most of the positions in our system, you have to find a way to go and pay tuition. There's a barrier to getting involved with us. I believe that there are a lot of people in our community who can't overcome that barrier, but would be fantastic assets to our community. What I'm envisioning here is someone could literally, I think back to my time watching some of the amazing peer tutors that you and I knew at Barnaby. Kids who may not have had access to go to post-secondary right away, but man, were they ever good with kids? Were they ever natural leaders? And now I'm envisioning a way where they could come and work for us as RAs, train with us to be EAs, and have a wonderful career in education. And to me, that just speaks to the kind of equity that to me is really diversifying our workforce. That's going to really be in a position to help students like them. And so I really, that vision is, this is all very good news to me. It's almost emotional. This is really good stuff. Thank you. I didn't turn it into a question, I don't think.
That's okay. Mark.
Thanks, Chair. This is heartwarming to see this, having visited so many schools over the last few months, and a whole year, 2 years to be quite honest. What we're seeing here echoes a lot of the concerns that I've heard from staff, from parents. And I don't want to repeat what my colleagues on the board have said, but you know, at the end of the day, it's all true. I mean, and I'd like to give kudos to our superintendent 8 days out of the gate. And here we are. We don't have, I want some money, let me do it. It's broken down for us. It's broken down. $100,000 for this, $65,000 for that. That is a testament to the dedication and the absolute professionalism that our new superintendent has. So thank you from my heart. This is exactly what we've heard, and I'm wholeheartedly supporting this motion. And it's today's dollars for today's challenges that we have. And if we have the challenges next year, we can tackle that next year. But right now, we need to get focused on this. I'm hearing feedback from staff and parents that they're overjoyed, and that'll be reflective in my report coming up towards the end of the meeting. So thank you, Robin, and thank you to staff for putting this together. It's top notch. It's top side of our list. Thank you.
Okay. I think we may be starting to debate the motion a little bit, so it would be good if we had someone that's willing to move it. Yeah, and
Not that we look at all similar. That the Board of Education of School District number 68 Nanaimo Ladysmith approves the proposed reallocation of the September 2024 surplus allocation as found in the action sheet below dated November 27th.
thank you. No seconder. Annie really wants that. Would you like to motivate the motion, mate?
No, thank you.
Any discussion? Councillor List, pretty sure.
Question before we call the motion. That's okay. I want to echo a lot of what everyone's saying. Obviously, we have thank you, because this is an opportunity to create a really solid foundation, especially with the internal EA certification program. I know that I've had people reach out and go, that's pretty darn awesome. And we've got some really great opportunities to do that. And I really do hope that we can consider rolling some of this in. I do understand that there's going to be additional investment that needs to happen for some of this stuff, that we can roll that into the next year's budget. We can figure it out, stuff like that. Because it really does it hits everything. It hits safety, it hits wellness, it hits literacy and numeracy too. It hits all of it. It hits truth and reconciliation as well. Like we're creating supporting the foundation of the education of all of the students here and the wellness and safety of our staff as well. So I thank you so much for that. The EA attendance at meetings, that's something that, you know, in my own life that's happened where I'm like, can they please come to my meeting, please? Because they know what's going on. So this is just really awesome to see. I do have a question, and it's about number 2, the increased inclusion support teacher time. And it's topping up currently existing employees. I'm just wondering if you could expand a little bit on that and explain a little bit more of what that means.
Sure. There are inclusive teachers in the system who may not be full-time, or maybe they share a different role in the school. So we're looking at a couple of the high schools, but also some of the elementary schools where we can actually add some more time to the existing teachers in this roles.
Fantastic. Great.
And could I make one comment? And I do want to acknowledge that it was really the work of the staff and principals and vice principals who brought these priority ideas and really helped me out. So I do have to give them a lot of credit.
Yes. Great.
Okay. Okay, so any other comments or discussion related to the motion?
Yeah, sorry, just last one. If it's a drop in the bucket, can we find out about that at some point? Like in regards to if it was a drop to the actual needs, you know what I mean? Like 30,000, was it enough? Like, you know what I mean? So it'd be good to know later on. Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, well, then I'll call the question. It's all in favor? Very good. Great, thanks, everyone. Moving on to 13.4, the superintendent's update.
All right, I just have a couple of updates for you. Firstly, I want to acknowledge communications as well as facilities. who were instrumental in helping me with regard to power outages. I think there were a number of phone calls very early in the morning, and I couldn't have done the great work without communications and facilities. And I know that there was a manager who was calling me about 5:30 in the morning or 5:20, letting me know of all the schools. So much appreciation for the staff here in doing that. I just wanted to let you know also that I visited 3 schools, 1 secondary, 2 elementary in the last week. I also had the great opportunity to go to the community supports fair that was held at Dufferin yesterday. So a lot of supports for families. It was a beautiful event. And so again, I know it was the staff who put that on. Last week, I was able to go to a superintendent's meeting on November the 21st. The 3 big topics were Indigenous educational councils, artificial intelligence, and also numeracy. So that was what the superintendents across the province was looking at and working with the Ministry of Education and Childcare. And then just lastly, I have had an abundance of conversations in the last few days in terms of back-to-back meetings, really chatting with our partner groups, DPAC and NTTA, as well as KIPI president, as well as many of you and many of the managers and the leads of the organization. So I have learned a lot, and there's much, much more for me to learn. So I'm looking forward to that. And that's my report.
Thank you. Entertain questions? Questions? Any?
Well, I'm not used to having so thank you. AI, what is this sort of consensus around AI right now?
That's a great question. So the superintendents across the province recognize that we have some really great leaders coming out of North Vancouver with regard to the work they're doing. And so between North Vancouver, Surrey, and the other district, they have put a lot of attention to it, recognize there needs to be some policy around it, recognize that there needs to be some work around it, some guidelines, and some real monitoring. And so I know that I have a portfolio assigned to one of the assistant superintendents with regard to how do we actually approach that. And so there's much more to come. And I think it's a great opportunity. And so I think we all recognize as leaders across the province around learning that this is something that we really need to manage, to monitor, to guide, but at the same time that it is really a great opportunity for learners, as well as our business operation.
Thank you. And I'll just share with you that, so you notice about me is I believe in it. Like I believe in what you're saying with the opportunities. I'm one of the ones who's scared of it a bit because I've seen mistakes that I've fallen for. And I think of myself as fairly media literate. And had I mean, I was like 5 minutes into the thing before I really realized it was fake. So if that can happen to me, it can happen to a teenager. And so I have some concerns.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, thank you, Robin. On the topic of AI, I'm going to leave the education side to the education experts. I know it's featuring as part of my curriculum and my program right now. They're teaching us how to use it as a tool, and we're exploring the limitations and the advantages of it. You know, I think it's good learning. From a board's perspective, though, I do have questions about how the use of AI fits in with our environmental plan, because I think people get the impression that computer work is green work. It's environmentally benign, and AI is anything but. And huge gobble of energy resources and carbon intensive released from that energy suck. So that's something that I want to be mindful of, is that we're not hiding our environmental impacts from what we've committed to in our environmental action plan. But thank you for the update.
So, anybody else? Okay, so thank you, Robin. We will move on to item 15.1, a letter of recommendation.
Thank you very much. I would just like to take note that in a conversation with the board chair, I have a bit of an action here for the board to consider, that we have a new Minister of Education and Childcare, the Honourable Lisa Bair, I think that some of us got to hear from her, some of us got to meet with her. And so I would like something here for the board to consider, and a letter to congratulate her.
Anyone would like to move the motion? Tell me.
Sure, I just have to find it because I lost it. That the Board of Education of School District Number 68 in Nanaimo Ladysmith write a letter of congratulations to the new Minister of Education and Childcare, the Honorable Lisa Baird.
Second by Tim, would you like to motivate them?
Well, I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Any discussion?
It includes, that we want a new NDSS, correct?
Not India, just let her know that.
Yes.
Yes.
And LAS. Perfect.
And LIS, yes.
Anyone else? Okay, call the question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, so we'll move on to item 16 for information. We have the board of motions report on page 42. Does anyone have any questions on that? We'll come up to trustee committee reports on 44. Questions on that one? And lastly, our trustee annual zone reports. Who would like to begin? This is the time that we need to share. Okay, I'll go to Matthew. We're going to our left today then. We'll go against them.
Okay, just pulling up my list here. I just gotta find it, sorry.
Yeah, and just as a reminder, page 53 now.
Yeah, I
We
got
each get 2 minutes. And I'm gonna set a timer.
I'm on it. So my zone area is North Oyster, Ladysmith Intermediate, Ladysmith Primary, and Ladysmith Secondary School. All these schools have a real deep meaning for me. I taught at 3 of them and graduated from one of them. North Oyster, as usual, is in its beautiful location. It's a dual track school. They've been trying some new things out to bring community in. They did a welcome back barbecue at the beginning of the year and got community involved in that. The local fire department helped out with the food. They did a Halloween dance. The school was very active in participating in volleyball, basketball, track and field, cross country, and they really loved ultimate frisbee this year with Quarterway. The intermediate school, in my report, I started out sort of bleak. The school is dealing with a front door renovation. The awning that covers the walkway to the front door is weak from mold and is rotten. Principal said if there was a snowfall, there was a good chance that would collapse. The school structure is very old. We need to obtain the funding for a new build in Ladysmith to replace this school, Honorable Lisa Baird. Further, they have had issues with their playground equipment, with the swing and monkey bars toppling over. Theater and music are thriving at Ladysmith Intermediate. They've had a Halloween theater and we'll be doing a Christmas theater performance. I don't think I mentioned, but they have something like 80 students that are in their theater singing group. The teachers, the principal said the teachers do so many extracurricular activities for students. At lunchtime, there's Lego class, art, intramural sports, and drumming club are some of the activities offered. And they're also going to be doing a trades workshop for students there. And this will be assisted by the school district, and they're quite excited about that. And then the secondary school, of course, they have many of their sports, extracurricular activities. The principal, who's new this year, but she taught there for like 13 years, Shelley DeWitch, I worked with her. She's wonderful. She said that they had so many kids sign up for sports that they actually ended up being able to get all the kids into teams with community coaches helping out. The counseling team offers a craft club for students during lunch hour, which is super cool. And they have 3 practicum students who are doing their master's degree in counseling, who are educators now doing their master's degree. They're running a girls group for interested students, and there's a boys group that possibly will be starting soon. The improv team did it again. 5 years in a row, they finished. I haven't finished yet. I'll be with you. 5 years in a row, they have finished in within the top 6 in national in Canada, and that's thanks to Bill Taylor and his incredible dedication. And basically, their gender neutral bathrooms are a success. Orange Shirt Day was amazing. The 3 schools came together and they did a big thing. Ladysmith Primary, very unique school. Only K-3, so they don't do a lot of sports and things like that. The school has a beautiful community presence with lots of parent involvement, and they have a choir consisting of 80 students, which is incredible. And then some teachers have signed up to learn about UFLI, which is a phonetics program that is becoming widespread across the district, and this meets our strategic plan with literacy. Done.
So that was only 3 minutes, but that's okay. Good report, thank you. So Mark, you get 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And the reason we have a time limit is not because we don't want to hear from everybody, it's just for mindful of everybody's time.
It does get exciting though when you start sharing about schools.
Yes. So, yeah.
So, my family of schools is Wellington and all the feeder schools. I'll start with Solaire, I'll go alphabetical. Solaire has a really neat partnership. Lisa Frey, the principal, I think she was instrumental in starting the Woodlands Garden. So I got to join a kindergarten class and plant an apple tree, and it was hilarious. Like, I was on my own digging, being in charge of digging, which I shouldn't have been. There was little adorable swear words. There was all sorts of things that I just kind of left off because I'm not a teacher, but it was amazing. And then the snack was apple. It was just a really beautiful thing. They also have a huge fish tank upstairs, and it's all local stuff. And it's through the biological station. Somebody from the biological station comes and handles that. It's really beautiful. It's a very nice school. Departure Bay, that was where my kids went, so I have an extra heart piece about Departure Bay. That went from maybe closing years back to being absolutely maxed out with the maxed out portables, and they have a really neat little portable washroom unit in between everything outside, which really helps for the commute, having to go inside. Now that I'm with such a clock, I guess I'll just go straight to Rock City. Rock City, I love Rock City. Mike, the principal there, he kind of got me into the practice of reading with kids. So now every time I go to a school, I don't do the staff room, which I feel like I should add that in, Tanya, but I just go straight to wandering around and having a little desk set up in a hallway and doing one-on-one reading, and then hanging out in the classroom to the point where I forget like that I'm an adult and I shouldn't be coloring maybe for 45 minutes, especially with the sniff ones. Blueberry is the best, and cinnamon. And CUNT is very special. I hope everyone gets a chance to visit. The CUNT has the huge, beautiful Bentwood box that Joel Good made, and there's just such an amazing feeling when you walk into that school. They have a garden, and all of the students are little environmental stewards of the land, focusing on garbage, and they constantly are kind of, well, they're in partnership with the city and NALT, but they make little things that say, don't dump your grass here, and they put it on all the neighbors' houses. They're all very passionate about it, and I got to go on a little hike with them. That was pretty awesome. And am I out of time?
Yes,
Okay.
but you can finish up.
Uplands is awesome. I've been there quite a bit with just joining students on that documentary on seawolves. The guy that filmed it, that was incredible. But yeah, I had a whole star freak out. Yeah, everything. Uplands principal is awesome. Mike Ingalls, he came from Cedar. It's just such a good vibe. There's teachers that make pancakes, and it's a really wonderful school. And then Wellington. Dang it, I love Wellington. What an incredible high school. Bo Wagner, who I've named the monk of Cedars. I'm not sure anyone else uses that, but that's how I think of him. He is doing this really amazing project in the There's the center courtyard around the library, and the students are involved in everything. One student got so into taking the bark off that he was there for like hours longer than he was supposed to be. Like it's a very wonderful project. And then there are good news about the modular portables coming. That's amazing. And yeah, that's one of my ridiculous months. I love it.
Greg, this is like when you win the Oscars and they start playing the music.
I will speak quickly. I'm blessed with being the trustee who represents the Dover Bay Circle family of schools. I'll rush through it. Dover Bay Dolphins, the 3A boys BC provincial championships, they won them. So congratulations to the Dover Bay 3A boys. At Dover Bay, there's been a lot of programs that have been, I'm not reading it, I'm trying to save time here, but I'm actually stalling here. Programs that have built empathy with the students. For example, the Moose Hide campaign came into Dover Bay, which is a grassroots initiative designed to directly engage men and boys in ending violence towards women and children, because that's where it starts. That's where it's rooted in. I'm going to go to the elementary schools because we all know Dover Bay and McGirr. It was a big pleasure to visit McGirr so many times. I know a number of us had the opportunity to read it at McGirr as a guest reader. I read We Are Definitely Human to 2 kindergarten classes, which was amazing. And I donated the book afterwards, which they ended up didn't have. So that was awesome. Special shout out to Miss Dawson, librarian, for her exceptional work with coordinating that. The best, I would say the best, but one of the best experiences at McGirr was to experience the music class with Mr. Bamford in his kindergarten class. I've known Mr. Bamford since I was 5 years old, and I believe he's the eldest teacher in our district, if I'm not mistaken. So we did Puff the Magic Dragon, and I remember it from 40 years ago, and we still did it, all the movements and everything else. Let's see, it was wonderful. I'm the hot spot here. Seaview Elementary, I can't, oh, come on. Seaview Elementary was amazing. It was fantastic. I got to speak with the staff and the students, and I got to sit in one of a class with Mr. Newton. It was wonderful. Frank J. Nay, I had the pleasure of meeting the new principal, Tanya Whiting. She's excelled, and I have to say, while I was talking to Tanya, there were things going on, and Tanya was putting out fires and speaking to me at the same time and doing everything. She's an amazing administrator. I can't rave her enough. We had the Remembrance Day ceremony there. It was well attended and well respected. Randerson Ridge is my kids' school, so I'll skip. It's a great school. Pleasant Valley. The one thing I'm going to mention is Pleasant Valley is supposed to have new bike racks installed. There was a grant given to the city of Niagara as part of their active transportation plan. And the city's public works department made a presentation to council on February the 22nd of this year. It was supposed to be done in June of this year. It still hasn't come. So we're reaching out, and stay tuned. Hopefully we get the bike racks. We're hoping, fingers crossed. Rutherford, as you know, is opening, which is awesome, next year. And international education, one of the biggest challenges we have for international education is host families. So if you have your capacity and have the will and the ability to host an international student, I would implore you to do so, because that is our biggest need right now, is to finding host families for the students. And thank you for your time, and I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It's a big district. It's a big one.
Yeah,
There should actually be 2 trustees.
The 2 minutes is the guideline for these things.
Oh, okay. So in that case, let me go on. Lindsay, the principal of CB, is amazing. I was joking. Oh, okay. All right.
And go. 2024 was another year of growth for the Barsby family of schools. Modular expansions on the way to move Chase River students out of portable. Daycares are on site at Chase River and George Avenue. The Barsby Bulldogs played their first home season on the regulation turf field, and the school itself will soon be renovated for a new universal washroom facility. I've enjoyed my time this past year at Bayview, enjoying the magic of their Gift Gala store, sharing ice cream cones with students and staff at Park Avenue Elementary, and spaghetti dinner at George Avenue with families on their open house. What a wonderfully active zone. Thank you to staff PAX for all your extra time and energy on these community events. It truly is appreciated. This year, the Barsby Family of Schools was also reminded that our graduates do amazing things. One of my favorite parts about being a teacher was getting a preview of the leaders of tomorrow, and I want to bring 4 graduates to your attention. 2 you will know and 2 you may not. The 2 you know are Ethan Katzberg and George Anderson. One won an Olympic medal, one is now an MLA in Victoria, both Barsby and Park Avenue and Cinnabar kids. The 2 you may not know that I want to draw your attention to, one is Dr. Patricia Caddy. She is also a Park Avenue and John Barsby graduate who's gone on to do groundbreaking research in addictions, and her guidebook on naloxone treatment helps doctors provide insight, out service to patients properly. But she's also an advocate, and I would encourage you all to read her recent editorial in The Province from September 11th entitled "We have all been wounded by BC's overdose crisis." Finally, the work to revitalize the Hulkaminam language has long been a passion for Bayview Pom John Barsby graduate Talayla Manson. Talayla has been speaking Hulkaminam with her grandfather, Elder Gary Manson, and her uncle and SD language instructor, Adam Manson. The work of this amazing family has helped many local Sinanaymook recover their language and welcome settlers to appreciate the beauty and power of the original language of these lands. So this week, when the junior varsity Bulldogs play in the provincial championships, or when the kids take the stage at the George Avenue Holiday Concert, which was amazing. That means the teacher deserves a raise, if you ask me. You never know who you're watching. Our kids are amazing. High sepka to our amazing teachers, staff, and administrators for giving the kids the best times of life.
Let's say, for everyone at home, if you want to read these amazing quotes. Available on the agenda. That was verbatim speech, so it's all there. So thank you.
That was amazing.
That was really good.
Tom's the closest so far. If you're giving prizes, Tom's in the lead. Tanya.
Thank you. All right, it has been a privilege to work in the second half of the NDSS zone with Leanne. I've been extremely impressed by the commitment of our staff to serving students. I've seen many great initiatives from our PACs, and these schools all demonstrate a strong sense of community and school spirit. Now, briefly about each of the schools, I want to talk about Mountain View, specifically about environmental stewardship. I visited that school a few times in the last year, and when we were doing our strat plan revamp, I went in and said the teacher gave me permission to come and have pizza with kids and taught them. And I asked them about our strategic plan. I actually sort of briefly went over the goals like we did and asked them what they thought. And I was just in awe of the feedback I got. I mean, these are kids in grade 7 and they had thoughts about all of these things. And it was just amazing to see. They're doing really amazing work there. Fairview, I went to an entrepreneur fair and these kids were selling their items with the aplomb of adults. I mean, they had marketing plans. They had thought it through. I will grant you that the one thing that even they acknowledged was there was a lot of repetition in what they were selling. Like there was a lot of stress balls, for example, because they're kids. They want to sell things that are easy for them to make and produce at a low cost so they can make their money back. But it was just really great to see. The other thing I want to say about Fairview is I've been really impressed with them now that they don't have a direct full-time community school coordinator. They actually have done a lot of, and I think this is partly to do with Cindy Hack, who was a teacher at Georgia when community schools first started. She's done a really good job of taking the community school concepts and building on them. And so they have programming every day at lunchtime for kids. It's amazing. I've already run out of time. Quarterway, they are doing great student leadership around having the kids help with planning all of their monthly assemblies. They're bringing in Hulkaminam on a regular basis by teaching all the kids the equity song and they're singing it at those assemblies. Pauline Hera, they are having carnival in February. They've encouraged all of us to go and see it. When I know more about that, we will let you know. And I just want to say that on their Pro D Day on November 8th, they are having November 8th. Yeah, they spent the day at Dufferin. had a tour and presentation and collection of the learning library in the morning, and then participated in a presentation with Carol Roberts, UBC faculty of Indigenous education teacher about decolonization of education in the afternoon. Absolutely great, and they have terrific school goals on the website. All of our, not all of our schools, I think, have their school goals up, but many of them do. So if you want to know what schools are doing around the strategic plan, that's the place to go and take a look.
Thanks, Tanya. Chantel?
Thank you. I want to start off by saying I didn't get to my schools as much as I wanted to. And for that, I'm actually pretty darn sad, but I know that many of these schools are okay. They've said come anytime, doesn't matter if you're family schools or not kind of thing. So that's been really great. So I'll start off with Cedar Elementary. Lindsay Watford was actually the vice principal, but changed over to CVU in September. So they had a bit of, they've had a bit of changes happening over the past probably 4 or 5 years, and you know, even before my time. So they're getting more into just a smoother approach and stuff like that. And something that really caught my eye was this counselor corner that started in September, October. That's on the actual newsletter, and I just found that really interesting because it was actually one of the new counselors that's starting there. She connects with families each week to highlight these mental health and wellness school initiatives and provide helpful tips on topics such as cybersecurity and fostering positive connections at home. So it's kind of like that translation of knowledge from the school to the home life in regards to wellness, which is really fantastic for mental health and well-being. And we talked about the school introducing a special poster for all classrooms that outlines common coping strategies. These posters will also be sent home to encourage families to continue the conversation and reinforce these tools at home. So it kind of gives families too some language to use, some common language. You know, you're using the same language at home, you're using the same language at school. It really helps reinforce that message. It gives us some parents some stuff that, you know, like we don't know where to go, we don't know what to do. It's right there. It's fantastic. So they're having a market too this Saturday, Saturday 10 to 2. So go check that out. I'm going to go to Cedar Secondary Community School. One of the big highlights for me was going to the Zonta Club presentation, which, you know, they just presented earlier. I got to kind of come towards the last like hour and a half, 2 hours. And just to see all those students after a whole day of like sessions and stuff like that, still wanting to hear and learn more about what's going on and what they can do to keep themselves safe and keep their friends safe. Two was really it was really heartening to see. They're taking this seriously. The more students that see that can pass on the word to their friends and, you know, have that momentum building, because there's something that I was blown away. There's a lot of things that I didn't know about. I thought I was pretty savvy, but I was like, wow, there's some things that they're pretty sneaky. So great. It was free pizza. It was fantastic. I got to speak at the graduation. That was my big highlight too. Every year. And I got to go to their Halloween costume contest, and Jim Carrey won first place, just so you all know. He's still top of his game, even after all these years. It's fantastic over there. They really create Cedar itself is a very community, small community. And it's just really nice to see that there's so many connections with the staff and with the students and stuff like that. It's a unique, great area, and I really love being in their zone. Cinnabar Elementary, I always get a kick out of the fact that they're on Ohio Street. I was born in Ohio, so it's just always funny when I go there. But what I was interesting, they won, they were chosen for the Indigo Love of Reading Foundation at our school. They raised over $5,000 for the library, and she's just like, how much am I going to make? This is fantastic. A really hard thing to have, you know, to have to decide what books to buy. Absolutely fantastic. They use the Open Parachute program that supports staff and teaching students and even their families with social and emotional learning, designating each month a theme and stuff like that. So it goes through. They have the Halloween pumpkin carving competition. You can check NLPS News because there's some amazing pumpkins. Like they go hard. Island Connect, special place in my heart here. Those folks do such amazing things with such an odd dynamic of educational system. It's not like your regular school that you would go to. And they're just doing some really great new things in there. I'll let you read it all in here. And for those who would like to read it, e-readers are really great. Text to speech or text to speech is really great too. If you can't read it, just use that as your tool. I have to talk about CTC. Okay, career technical is too.
Total of 5 minutes.
I have 5 more minutes. Great. Just what's happening there, please, please, please. If you have students who are in grade, say 7 or 8 or whatever, and are like, I don't know, please, 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 go to the website, pick up the phone, talk to Dave. He is like all in to help students in their careers, in their future. He is super passionate about this stuff. He's growing it from already something that was quite substantial to even more. And so I highly recommend you all look at this because, you know, looking at sometimes our students just don't know, our kids don't know. And as parents, we don't even know either what kind of avenues you can take. Talk to him. I recommend.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
So I'm part of the NDSS Family of Schools of Tanya. So as everyone knows, NDSS is bursting at seams. Not only with students, but with staff. But the one thing that school has is they are passionate and they participate in everything. They go hard in every single activity that they have. And one of those is their student council. And they are really leading our secondary schools with student voice. And they just hosted their second annual Student Voice Forum, where students from high schools joined in to discuss the leadership opportunities, leadership goals, and the challenges they face as students, and opportunities for collaboration amongst other schools. Forest Park has a great outdoor community learning space that helps students learn the valuable essential skills for hands-on learning. And they love art at that school. They hosted an amazing bioluminescence artwork show that featured recycled art that they created. And they have a heavy focus on numeracy, on learning, learning about numeracy fun, not only for their teachers, but for their students. Brecken is a little hidden gem inner city school that has vibrant educators and very energetic students. There's runners all over that property when you're there. You gotta watch. And they're excited to start school sports this year, which is great. Coquitlam Bay is loving their new addition. They have lots of space, extra space now. And the one thing they're doing again this year is participating in Everybody Deserves a Smile, which is creating handmade care packages for those living on the streets in Nanaimo and Parksville. And they're very passionate about this. And I applaud them for that. Gabriola, small but mighty little school that is very unique in the amount of community involvement that they have on site. They spend a lot of time outside. And they're lucky to have the community garden right across the street where they're able to grow their own food to take home to plant in their garden. And they're also, they have a new maker space that they have access to at the recycling center where they have community members teaching them about textiles and learning how to make things with recycled textiles. And I was able to visit there with Laura last year. And there's some exciting partnerships that should be coming for textiles teachers in the district based on their work they're doing with recycling.
Thank you, man. And I won't quote you because you haven't been assigned schools quite yet. So I would not be fit. Yeah. So thank you. So thanks everyone for your reports. We do this once a year and try to keep it short. But it's okay. If people want to read them or any of them. Okay, so we'll move on then. Are there any questions in the online or questions? Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn? Moved by Naomi, seconded by Tom. All in favor? All right, thank you. Thank you.